I'm not sure if you know this, but you have permission to take up space. I would encourage you at some point today to walk into a space where you have a mirror and stand in front of it. Place your hand on your heart. Maybe place both hands on your heart, whatever communicates sincerity to your body. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, you have permission to take up space. And then see what arises. Just sit there with whatever comes up. I think at the core of most issues that we have in life and healing is this just not feeling like we really deserve things and not feeling like we have the right to take up space. In my own story, I have often found myself explaining to other people why I should take up the space that I take up the way that I do. And sort of almost like we're asking for their permission and approval. But it all comes from this place of just not really believing that we should be here and that our spaces should belong to us. Each of the beautiful people that come into my life looking for support in one way or another will probably say that this message resonates with them because it's at our core, our deepest wound. Debbie Ford wrote a book called The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. And in this book, she says, we grow up and it's as if, if you are a mansion and as you grow up, you get feedback from people in your environment and, gradually you just start closing doors to different parts of yourself for one reason or another, until you wake up one day to discover that you are just inhabiting 2 rooms of this mansion. That's where the healing work begins. And then, once you inhabit yourself fully and you believe that you belong here, you get to be the gatekeeper. And people have to ask permission or be allowed into your space. And it's a space that hopefully you're cultivating well because you belong here and you believe that, and now you love yourself. And you want to do all that you can to take care of the space that you inhabit. And by that I mean this, when you believe that you belong here and that you matter and that you get to exist, and then you enjoy existing, and then you take care of this space, and then you invite others into that space. Well, imagine if we were all doing that. What kind of world would we inhabit? It certainly would not be the one that we're inhabiting now. It would not look the way that it currently does. But I think that's where it starts. You have permission to take up space And however that looks for you, for me, sometimes that means just, I don't have to be accessible 24/7. I carry an awareness all the time as if everyone is able to rent space in my environment. But when you give yourself permission to take up space, and you are the caretaker of your environment, you're also the gatekeeper of that environment, and you decide on what terms you give others access to that space. And if you're just as intentional with yourself and with your love and your care of yourself, then your engagement and interaction with others will reflect that. There's a beautiful thing about the way that the world works. It's like a really simplistic program. It will always mirror back to you. And if you're brave enough and courageous enough to look at that reflection and say, oh, and instead of trying to correct what you see here, recognize that it's just a reflection of what is here. And go back into your space and clean it up. And then see what happens out here. It's a practice. It's a process. It won't be easy at first. It will feel unfamiliar and unnatural. And there are plenty of people around that would love to support you on that process. I am one of them. But you have permission to take up space. And then you are responsible for the maintenance of that space. And as you do that, you will be a light in the collective. But come back here and do this work and see what happens.